last season your team went 22 and 23, just missing the playoffs after a tough East Coast Conference campaign. Are there any major takeaways from how last season ended, and what kind of positives can you take into this season?
Well, I hope it's a learning lesson, for the returners, not making the conference tournament. So hopefully they're hungrier, play harder. They've been practicing harder, and you gotta play, and you gotta do things on the field that you do in practice, and you gotta win your weekend series. The biggest thing is winning your weekend series to get into the conference tournament.
Now, from last year's team, you lose two top pitchers, Shea Spitzbarth and Alex Brosnan. Spitzbarth, as we know, was drafted by the Los Angeles Dodgers over the summer. How are you going to replace these arms in the rotation next season?
Replacing those type of caliber arms, I don't think you can say replace. Like any program, you got guys underneath in underclassmen, or guys that were maybe pitching in the 3 or the 4 spot in the rotation, or maybe a main bullpen guy. Returning plus your recruit. You look at your team at the end of last year and you try to recruit. Shea signing with the Dodgers out of the Cape late in the summer. Very hard to replace that type of caliber arm. But we got guys that are working really hard. We've got pitchers that are returning, and we've got some recruits that came in that I'm pretty confident are going to give us some good things on the mound.
Can you give us any names who are going to be filling out the possible day 1 and day 2 starters?
Yeah, well, there's guys competing. There's still guys competing. We're going into our last prep week of practice this weekend. We've got some good names. It's the returners and Bobby Kelly, Anthony Catanella, Ronnie Bauer, that are all competing within each other, working hard together as a unit. They're working really hard with doing what they need to do with Coach Callahan. So those are some names right there. Don't know where anyone will pan out. I really don't know if there's going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe there's matchups. Maybe we bring guys back a little earlier that pitching hotter than maybe somebody else, and we'll let it pan out. We got 4 weeks to let it pan out. 5 weeks of season comes the conference start schedule. So we got some time to play out in these non-conference games.
Now, Kyle Van Dyne and John Galanudos also graduated from the team last year. How do you plan on replacing such veteran leadership, if there is a way?
Well, with Kyle was just a good working catcher behind the plate who also transitioned in 3 years to becoming a really good leader. Johnny as well. Johnny was an ECC, all-conference player, I think 3 out of his 4 years. So they were definitely solid players and good leaders. But once again, back to what I said before, we had a lot of underclassmen in the last 2-3 years. A lot of guys that were freshmen, sophomores, and we've got some really good leadership going on with this club. Mike Ron, Kevin Podell, Pete Bath, Ronnie Bauer, Bobby Kelly, they're my captains. And then we've got seniors and juniors that are also taking, good leadership roles. We've got plenty of guys stepping in.
Now, you speak about Kevin Podell. He's been a mainstay at third base for your team and has been a consistent hitter as well. How do you think he's going to take being a big go-to hitter for the team this year?
Kevin's all business. He's not going to worry about anything. He's going to go about his business. He was in the middle of the lineup last year. He was in the middle of the lineup as a freshman. He'll handle everything he needs to handle exactly the way it is. He's just a very smart person off the field, but he's just as smart on the field. He'll be fine.
Now, there's a belief in the program that Daylen Guzman can get drafted in the MLB amateur draft. Why do you think there's so much hype around him, and what can he bring to this team exactly?
Well, bottom line is his velocity. That's number one, and his pitchability and his athleticism. So there's a buzz, but that's all secondary right now. I hope it happens for Daylen. I hope it happens for the program. Daylen's main goal right now is to just help this team win, and all that hopefully plays out, and he gets that opportunity, and I hope he does. But he's just got good stuff.
Now, what kind of impressions have you taken from these preseason workouts? Maybe some of the freshmen or newcomers have surprised you in a way.
Well, we brought in 7 freshmen, 2 transfers. From the fall, we've incorporated them gelling in the right way with you know, the goals of the program and with the other guys. So they're working hard, but back to the names you just mentioned prior, we only had 4 seniors last year. So everybody's working hard. We're doing everything we need to do in prep work. The weather prior to this last week was great. We've been outside. Our indoor facility that we utilize preps us really well. And, you know, we're just eager to get started playing games.
Okay, so going into conference season, your team was ranked 6th in the coaches' preseason poll. How much do you put into this poll? Do you think it's a fair assessment of your team? And just give your general opinion of it.
I don't put anything into it. It is what it is. You know, we didn't do anything last year, so, you know, that's where we get picked, that's where we get picked. Last year's book is closed. Everybody goes off those polls, that was last year's book. That book is closed, you can't reread it. So this year's a new year, it's a new start. Polls are meant for polls. They're what they are, but I don't put much play into any of them, whether it was years we were picked 1 or a year like this year we were picked 6th. It doesn't matter.
How important is it to start your season early and in the southern states?
Well, it gets us outside and gets us playing, and it gets us improving. You get to see some of the things that you see in practice that you may think you're very good at, and then all of a sudden you start playing some games, and you're like, well, we got to work on this a little more. Or you may see some things that you're like, this may be one of our weaknesses, and then all of a sudden in some games, you know, it looks even a little better. And that's what that slate's for. I like going down south, playing, you know, a couple series, you know, open up with Pfeiffer and coming home, going down to South Carolina, you know, then a little bit of a break and then going to Florida, because it gets us playing, it gets us, you know, out of the practice mode, and it gets us prepped for conference play. I believe in playing a tough schedule early on. I think we got a pretty tough schedule with a good slate of opponents, and hopefully it prepares us to get ready for our first opening series.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time. Best of luck this season.
Thank you.